Hello, product people. Welcome to the Product for Product podcast, hosted by Matt Green, data advocate and product manager, and Moshe Mikanovsky, product leader and author. Our goal is to serve the product community by helping you find products that can help make your work in product management easier. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Product for Product podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. On today's episode, Moshe and I are happy to speak with product builder and entrepreneur Stav Charkham about his experience with the tool N8N. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Stav.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you. Hey, Moshe.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Stav. Welcome to the show. And you are joining us from Israel.
Yes, from Tel Aviv.
From Tel Aviv. Very nice. Welcome. Where it's we have in this series quite a few people from Israel. I think it just happened that I don't know if because you like to adopt AI tools or because I'm the Israeli here on the show and I'm the one that doesn't like to adopt AI tools so much. But right?
I feel like we Israeli find their way into podcast all the time.
That's it, probably.
Ever since starting the show, we've spoken to so many Israelis. I'm always amazed by how much entrepreneurship and product building there is over there. I did not know that prior to doing the show with Moshe. So
I think that actually, tech is like the biggest export in Israel.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should read the book Startup Nation, Matt. That's a great book about that.
Okay, we'll do.
It might teach a product manager a few things. So that might be an interesting one to talk about.
For sure.
But we have brought Stav to talk about N8N, or maybe we should call it Nathan because it's much easier.
Nathan, yeah. That's become
I was always wondering how they pronounce the name. Is that how the builders of Nathan actually pronounce it?
I think I read it somewhere. I don't remember. It's supposed to be something. There is like an explanation to the name. It's supposed to be, I think so, like a term in development. I'm not sure. I think in our company we just call it Nathan.
Nathan
which
is
like
Hebrew.
the proper way in Hebrew to say Nathan.
It's the Israeli pronunciation of Nathan is Nathan.
Yeah.
So, like I've heard someone from Israel recently called GPT Gepetto.
The Gepeta.
Gepeta.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's I don't think was the original meaning that they wanted to put into it. But Nathan is actually much easier.
Really like nicknames.
Yes, exactly. I think it's another army thing. But I think that Nathan much easier to send than N8N. It's a bit of a mouthful in English.
Nathan.
Yeah, but I think it teaches us a lesson that like your domain name doesn't really matters as long as your product really solves the problem.
That's true. Branding is a whole different discussion that we had in the past. We had an episode actually about how to name your product. With the branding.
With the N8N pass?
I don't think it came up, but it might have. I don't know. It might have. So for those that don't know what Nathan is, we will explain it in a second. Before that, I wanted to ask you, Stav, how did you get to where you are today and your way into product? I know you are not a traditional product person. You're doing quite a bit of a lot of many different things, as you try to explain it to me one day. But tell us a bit more about that.
Perfect. Give it I try to do the shorter pitch. So my last product role was, I think it was the start of COVID. I started as a product manager in a small gaming studio. After that, I started my own. I did a few things before that, but after my product role, I started my own company. It was an educational startup called Loru. We did a really cool open source learning. There, I actually learned because I started as a sole founder there, and before I got people to work with me, I just built the product using no code. Which is a whole long story. I won't get out of how I got there, but I started working with Babel, which is a really good no-code platform. I built the learning platform with it, and I built a couple of things later. But I ran with this startup for 3 years, and then I shut it down after an unsuccessful pivot. I think it was just when the bubble burst. It was just in the same week that Facebook and that Meta and Google fired like 10,000 people for the first time in a while, and it was like this was like a horrible time to go into the job market. And that's after I got sick of like doing interviews and stuff like this. I just built with Bubble. It will come up later in the Nathan story right now because it's something that I'm actually rebuilding again with Nathan in the company. But I built it was just when ChatGPT came out, when the API was released. I built a product for product managers that allowed us to just take user research, user interviews, user feedback, and dumped it all in one place, and just had like a ChatGPT-like interface that summarizes all of the information and gives you the important quotes, repeated the problem spaces, and the business opportunities that you have. I just, instead of like selling it as a SaaS software, I just went there I went to company freelance. I would just, I would go to a company and I would, how a research cycle can take like 2 to 3 weeks to interview all of the customers, summarizing whatever. It was just when ChatGPT came out, so we would do things the old way. So I would just come up to a company. I would in one day interview 12 customers, summarize everything with the tool, and like the next day I would sit down with the CEO and CPO and like talk about the business opportunities. And I did this for a couple of months, and then I was introduced to a couple of really interesting entrepreneurs, and I joined them as a first employee in a company called Bono. Both of them are very seasoned second timers. Our CPO was actually the head of product for Jira. It's a really good team. And then I joined them as a first employee without any role definition. It was, this is Stav. He knows how to build things. And I just fell into building stuff with, it was then a few years ago, it was Make and Bubble. Make is another automation tool that now N8N kind of replacing it for most people. And I ran with them for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then I joined Voyantis with the company I'm now working. And I think I don't know if it's the last episode or the one before it, I think you interviewed Elena.
Yes.
Which also was a product manager at Voyantis. And I joined Voyantis as this new role we're creating right now called a business product builder. It's essentially, the role is essentially being a mini product team that focuses specifically on the business metrics of the company. So for example, I work with sales, marketing, customer success mostly, or the executive, and I just do the entire product cycle from the research, product, design, to the building the actual product, releasing it, everything. I'm doing the entire cycle. It's because it's only me, it allows me to do things a lot more quickly. So for example, like an internal product that would take like 2 to 3 months to build with like the standard product team, we can build it in like less than a month because it's just very fast.
So you're wearing over there in this role like the entire team product team triad roles. You're the product manager, the designer, and the developer.
Yes, exactly. I'm doing everything there in the role, and I'm like, it's this role is like I work under the COO, but the product team is also like adopting me. So also like in the middle of both of those teams. And that,
You have
I love it.
stakeholders, like every team and every product manager will have stakeholders.
Exactly. It's the interesting thing about it in like the product perspective is that like I found out that like every department is a completely different customer. So for example, working with sales is completely different than working with marketing or customer success. It's like in everything, the way you approach a project. And that's it. I have a lot of interesting lessons from this role, but I think we were focusing on the product side of N8N. So I think we can jump into a few words about what is N8N in general.
Yes, let's do that. You did mention Make before, and
Bubble.
N8N, yeah, and we did have just a few
code.
thoughts there. We did cover Bubble in the past. We had a whole series on no-code platforms, maybe a couple of years ago already. I mean, it's been a
Probably,
while.
yeah. It's been a while.
They are definitely still out there. They're still kicking and moving and whatever. It will be interesting to see where they will go with all the vibe coding products that are out there that we talked about Lovable, and we talked about Base 44, etc. And there are a few others as well. Make is one of those I always had in mind to do an iPaaS series. We never had the chance to do that yet. But I did introduce Make specifically to my students at school in the emerging technologies class. And someone from Make, they have this department that are doing work with universities, and they give free licenses for the duration of the semester, so you can try it out and build with it. So it's really, really interesting to see. And they showed us that they also have agentic AI functionality these days. So just to put for the audience a bit about, that entire ecosystem of automation and iPaaS products that Make is in, and I put Nathan in the same category, but you can correct me there if they're maybe in a different category, which is basically automation and integration with other applications. So you bring in all the different products that you already have in your stack, and if they are integrated with it, then you can create a flow inside Make or inside Nathan to automate things in your processes. As simple as that.
Key component of that is internal automation or external automation. There's tools out there like Trade.ai, WorkAuto, that have embedded UI components where you can put it in your SaaS solution. And there's also internal business processes. You can use Zapier and some of these other tools as well that we see here. So that's a good distinction. I've worked on both sides of that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I usually think about it more about internal.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. That's a good point about
they have
this.
some good embedded UI components where you can white label it and then allow your end users to either build their own workflows through pre-built connectors, or you can build them for them and just offer like a marketplace where they can hook up and stuff.
Yeah. Nathan, I think, is the most known one for agentic AI. So maybe even before we talk about that, we need to speak about what is agentic AI.
Yes, I think that's a good point. Because in all of those, I think the reason, so I will say before it, so we used to have like Zapier was the automation tool that really broke the market, and suddenly everybody tried to create automation with them.
Right.
Never really connected with, I never had this connection with Zapier, but then like Make, which used to be called Integromat, which I think, by the way, I think they're an Israeli company, I'm not sure.
No, they're actually from Czechia.
Czechia? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, my bad. So they really made, I think, automation a lot easier. You'll be able to connect to a lot of things, but also create complicated automation. So they were the go-to automation tool. And now, when I think what N8N did, which is very, very interesting, is they did two things. One, their entire project is open source. So companies can like host their own versions, which make it more secure and more private, and this is like a big win. And then they were leaning very into agentic AI, creating AI agents, and they did it very well, very fast, and it suddenly allowed anyone to create agent very quickly. Now I'll explain. I think I can explain the difference between a workflow. So the way automation works is that you have a trigger, and then you have those nodes, which are usually, take this data from Google Sheet. You can even you can even use AI to get answer, like to get an answer on based on this data and export it into Slack message. It's like a very step-by-step process with rules inside it. And the difference between this and an agentic workflow is that the way an agent itself, it's an AI that has both a brain, it has an LLM behind it that allows it to think, it has memory, and it has different tools. And the difference between a workflow to an agent is that an agent decides what steps to take. It can take the data and it can use a specific tool, or it can decide to use a different tool based on whatever the LLM decide. And then at the end of it, it outputs the data, but it can also use its tools to, for example, create an event in Google Calendar, send a Slack message, save something in the database. But it can do all of those things in whatever order, in whatever way the agent thinks it's the right way. And this is a very different thing. So now I will just say that I find it more often than not that most of those workflows can be done as a regular workflow and not an agent.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a lot of use case. We can talk later about like what use cases are specific for you need an agent for, but agents are less predictable, way more expensive, and are harder to maintain and test. So I usually just create workflows with N8N. And the reason, by the way, we're in the company we use N8N and not Make, is that it's just very easy to host our own version in, which allows us to use our VPN to connect whatever we want. And I can also say a funny story about why we decided to use N8N. So in my role, I need to know most of those too. So I've been using N8N already. But we had a couple of months ago, we had an AI hackathon. And out of 8 teams, 5 used N8N for their product. So suddenly the entire company, the entire like executive team, they looked at it and was like, oh, okay, this is not just an early product. This is something we can actually use in production.
Yes.
It's ready. Which was really fun because you could see the non-technical people actually managing to build something. I would say that specifically with N8N, one of the drawbacks is that it is a bit technical. You need to know how to build and use an API, for example. You need to understand it. But that's, I think to return to the original question, and so I think my ADHD, it has the habits of opening new tabs along the conversation.
No worries.
Feel free to stop me and direct me to the original tab. But the original question is what's N8N? So N8N it's an automation platform that allows you to also create agents very, very easily. And now Make also created their agentic workflow too late, in my opinion. It took them some time. So now, like, we wouldn't go back. For example, we can't go back in our company and just build everything in Make again.
Yeah. You brought an interesting point there about security because you can host it yourself. So it's not just about the license for it, but it's also about security. But with open source, I always have this double-edged sword type of thinking there that on one end, yes, you can put it on your network. And we had an episode in this series with Eva about using LLM securely. So that can help. But on the other end, for me, I always raise the issue of trust. How do I trust them? And how do I trust the open source coders that they're not putting something malicious over there? But that's maybe a whole other discussion for open source products. So I'm not sure I want to get into this right now. I really want to get into use cases and the ease of use of N8N to actually create them.
Okay, perfect. So I think I think in anything we do, there is two. So I measure myself with ARR per employee. How much money we're making, subtracting by dividing by the employees that we're having. So there is two ways to improve this number. One is reducing manual hours. The other thing is creating business impact, creating ARR, or whatever you call it. And I think when I look at specifically N8N and almost anything, it's what do I want? What kind of automation do I want to get here? Do I want to create an automation that saves me manual hour and allows me to do more with my time, or do I want to create a new ability that I couldn't do before? And I think this is like in the discussion of the PM of what they want to do. And there is also another, I think we can go later about like how far can we also take this into skipping dev time and stuff like this. But I think I can share a few use cases that we did with N8N.
Just before that, I really love how you break it down to these two, reducing time or creating new abilities. I think this should apply in general to AI, to any AI out there. And to me, the AI that excites me are AI that can do things human cannot do. Where the AI that doesn't excite me is the AI that just reduce the time. But this is what everybody's talking about.
Wait, that's the easiest, the lowest common. Yeah. Anyway, so for use cases, so there is also as a PM, and I think I'll try to differentiate because my job is just to create tools for people in the company. So I also create tools for the PMs. But I try to look at it from a place of like I'm a PM and I want to create something for myself. And here you can always do. I can give you like the lowest hanging fruits of the automation is the saving times. So for example, again, every automation starts with a trigger, then we have like the automation itself and an output at the end of it, or like, a couple of things that like, actions that happens along the way. And I feel like for product managers, there's also always this like constant overload of messages and meeting and whatever that comes to mind. And one of the things that I like to do is to create automations that just digest everything. It can be stuff that happen like, every day in the morning, every 9 a.m. in the morning. It can go over and read all of my unread Slack messages. I can just pull off the messages and filter them, and then it can be like, I can give it to an AI, just decide what should I answer to, and like what's like, give me the starting point. But I think that those are kind of boring automations that you can see. I feel like there is like bazillion YouTube videos that you can find about like how to create those productivity hacks. I feel like there's something more interesting is things that we couldn't do before. And I think the best example for it is it's something that I'm building. I'm in the middle of building right now. This is the same kind of it's like a version of the product that I built after I closed the startup. Is that the goal of this product is to enable us to just use, we have, as every product manager in every company, we have this like huge like treasure trove, which is like the entire company meetings. We record everything with Gong or Zoom or Avoma or whatever, but we have hours, like hundreds and thousands of hours of sales calls, of customer success calls, of support tickets. We have so much things, and we can go and we usually like, whenever we do like a research on a specific topic, we go and like, we try to find some relevant conversation, we paste it into ChatGPT, but there's a lot of limits to it, and the fact that you can, how many calls can you get in one call, like in one conversation? You can get 10 1-hour conversation into ChatGPT, and like suddenly the context window is out and it hallucinates and it doesn't really help anymore. So the automation that we're building right now is an automation that right now the project is extracting all of the important conversations from the past years, which we're talking about hundreds of calls. And I'm actually creating an automation in N8N where it takes every meeting. And here, again, this is another example of using a workflow and not an AI agent. Because we want to reduce cost. We want to reduce cost, and we want very specific results. And so what we do is that each call goes to a flow where an AI first digests the entire call and extract all of the important, the output of this is a summary and just an array of snippets, important snippets from the conversation, that it also tags them and summarize them. And then we take, and like, every call can have like dozens of those chunks. So we can take all of those chunks, we save them in Supabase, and we repeat all of the conversation. And now I just started, I'm in the middle of like the first iteration of it. So we have like, I don't know, can pull it up, but we have something like 100 calls and like, I don't know, I want to say 1,200 like snippets. And what we want to do now is I'm building with Lovable. I'm building, and you can also just do it in N8N, but then we have Lovable, so it's so quick. But I'm building a UI that basically looks like ChatGPT, and then you query, like you just ask him, what are like my business opportunities for increasing retentions? What are the usual fears of prospects and customers? And it's go, and then the AI go to N8N again in a different workflow. It takes it takes the query, it understands, and here we can use an agent for this thing. But I also use workflow because again, it's cheaper. And the AI understand like what tags we want to get from the filtering, and just pulls all of the relevant snippets, and then throws this thing into an AI that suddenly can take 100 meeting worth of snippets, and because it's not the entire meeting, it's not 100 meeting, it's just the snippets. So we can get all of these things and get like all of the, and then what it does behind the head, I really like I don't know if you know Teresa Torres.
Yes.
So she has like this framework called the Opportunity Solution Tree. I really love this framework. So what it does, it's essentially look for the repeated problem spaces with all of the snippets, and then it turns them into an opportunity. An opportunity is just the problem space in like, if we solve and then like it asks the question, and then it prioritizes it. And prioritize it by asking, if we solve this opportunity right now, what will improve the business goal? And again, I forgot to mention it, but the AI also try to understand what the business goal behind it. So do we want to increase retention? Do we want to
the context,
increase win rate? And then like it prioritizes the business opportunities by asking which one will help this business metric the most, and then it returns all of it with the business opportunity, the repeated problem spaces, and all the relevant quotes. And because we're using Supabase as the database, we can also, whenever our VP product reads those things, you can click on the quote, and it takes him to the exact, like opens the entire meeting. And this is the whole product, and like we can build it in a few days. And I feel like that's really something that's really incredible and a product manager can do it start to end by themselves, with no dev time at all, and it's insane. I feel like this is an example for a new ability that we didn't have before. I couldn't access this huge opportunity, and now I can, and I feel like that's the magic. And N8N will, and you can try to do it with Lovable, you can try to query those things, but I really find, and by the way, this is also another bonus of using N8N, is that I usually build the UI with Lovable or whatever, or Babel or whatever, and then then I use N8N as the backend. So you can use the trigger as a webhook, and then Lovable calls this webhook with the data every time, and then it creates, like, it just triggered N8N, and then N8N returns the data to Lovable.
Yeah, it's your backend. Exactly, it's your backend for that. This is really interesting because I think there are a few startups that in the past couple of years, and I think we might have even interviewed one or two that are in that domain, that are trying to do just that. They're trying to get all of those.
Dovetail is a really good one.
Dovetail.
Right. So yeah. So Dovetail, I think they started with the how do they call? What's the right term for it? I don't have it right now in my head, but like a place where you put all of your interviews in one place.
Repository.
A repository. Thank you. So they started as a repository, and with AI, they were able to get into, you already manage the repository in our system, so we can now take all of that and bubble up the insights and stuff like that. I think some companies started from the insights, but then they had to integrate into all the different places where you actually have the recordings. And so there are those as well. And N8N allows you to do it all on your by yourself without, buying into another product that you have to implement, and you can still use it for some other.
Almost free. Like I would say, when I calculated it, I costed like something like it would cost you, I don't know, $40 for like 100 meetings or something like this to query it, and then like you save it. And once you save, by the way, when you save the snippets, you can just reuse them. You don't need
Yeah,
to
you don't need to do it again. You just
meeting
run
it. And I think that's the benefit to also just try to query something that is like more general. Like when I use the AI to query the meeting, I'm like get me everything that's interesting. Give me like new ideas, give me suggestions, give me complaints, and I want every kind, just tag it, and then you create a tag system, and that allows you to query it. But yes, it allows you. There are companies that are doing it. I feel like what the bonus of doing it with N8N is, one, it's way cheaper. Like it wouldn't cost your company $1,000 to do it. It would cost them less than $100. But it also allows you to control the prompt. And I feel like that's also very important. As long as you know how to write effective prompt, I feel like I'm getting way better results than I'm seeing with like most of the products that do it by hand. And it allows me to do it. And then, by the way, I can go and I can repurpose this product for any other department. I can get marketing. I can get a product. I can just duplicate a product for marketing department that's creating white papers or generating like the important snippet. They should go and post it on LinkedIn. I can get it to customer success to understand like their problems better. I can get it to sales to get them like the most important, like the point that I can make, like, how Gong have like the coaching for the sales because use the same thing. And that's also a really good option of N8N. You just can duplicate your automation and do it on whatever you want.
Yeah,
that's great. Time to value, then scalability, other departments to utilize what you've already built for one person. That's pretty cool.
And it takes us, I would say, it takes us to an interesting domain here. And I feel like this is like an existential question that now I feel like a lot of product managers are suddenly encountering, which is like, where does my impact, like, what's the limit of my impact? We used to have like an engineering teams to do, to change the color of a button. Now I can like, what stops me for taking cursor and just push some, like push request, like submit something, it's. So I feel like an N8N allows us to do things that are very interesting, because suddenly we can connect to Snowflake. We can connect to all of those like interesting like data houses that we was like very, only developers used to be able to access those things. And now suddenly we, as product managers, we have this option to create those internal, and I think this is really shine in internal tools. It's like, okay, we know that our teams needs to build like an internal solution for customer success, and like just a lovable prototype. This is like and this is like, I don't want to just look at lovable as prototypes, but like we can build the prototype with lovable, but we can create by ourselves the actual backend, and suddenly we solve the real problem with a real solution with no dev time. And I feel like this is another, N8N is another step for like the independence of PMs to create impact end-to-end.
End-to-end products, yeah, for sure. That's what we see a lot in the prototyping, lovable tools and stuff like that. Like it's a great prototyping, but like how do you connect it and actually get something to a production where people can actually use it?
Exactly. There is also a very interesting automation that I saw a few people doing it. I want to try it myself, is to combine the product that I told you about, the opportunity one, takes the opportunities, but then we can also create an automation that takes this opportunity, writes a PRD about it, and send it with an API to Lovable to also generate the prototype already. and you can like, and suddenly your job becomes out of like a general, like just a product manager. You just in constant demo day, looking at interesting, looking at interesting prototypes that your AI minion built for you.
Yeah,
Like that.
which on one hand also I think it does both two things. It saves time for us, but it also do things we could not have done before. So it has this too as well. Now with the audio-based podcast, we always have the opportunity to talk about the product, but not to show it. For those that have never used N8N or seen it before, can you just describe, how their interface is in a few
Yeah,
words?
sure. Yeah, sure. So the way, so you and it like you sign to the platform, and then like you open the page and you just see this like big plus button. You click on it, and then you start by choosing the trigger. This trigger can be anything. It can be from just clicking on the trigger manually, to a chat interface, to a schedule that like every day, every week, every minute, or you connect it to any other app. It can be Slack triggers, can be a new email came in, a new document was made, and this is the trigger. This start the automation, give you like the initial data that you want to work with. After this, you just can connect different. It's all based on nodes. Each node is this block. In Miro, we have those like you can add like more blocks to a chart. So it's the same thing here. You just add the node, and it can be anything there. It can be stuff that it can be connecting to other app like Google Sheets or anything Google. You can do scraper tools and basically anything you want. I think the beautiful thing here is that you can also just, if it doesn't have an integration, you can just build one with like a regular HTTP request. And remind me to talk about Kadabra for a second, because this is also an interesting product that I just recently saw in this domain. But essentially you have those nodes and you connect those nodes. Can be an integration, it can be something around data. You can combine different, and again, I think this is the difference between Zapier to Make and N8N is here you can have like different branches. Like the automation can go into different branches with different tools. You can combine it later. You can separate it into different runs. You can loop on it, and then it's just like this. And then it can stop there, but it can also trigger more automation. It can send you information. It can send you a message to Slack and stuff like this. And then here, and then you just need to save it and test it, save it, and then just run it. I would also say that it have its plus and the minus and pluses here is that it can tend to be like more technical whenever it's all. By the way, you can ask ChatGPT. It mostly doesn't work. It misses more than hit it, but you can ask ChatGPT to just build. You can build any automation. It will give you a JSON. You can just copy the JSON and you paste it in N8N, and suddenly you have the entire flow connected. Which is it's really cool to see. But then again, just like refactoring your entire code with Cursor, it looks really cool, but then everything breaks. But I feel like it's very easy to start learning right now, because it just, even me, I know I'm building it for a year and something. I use it weekly, and like every time I use it, I just copy paste the problem into ChatGPT and ask it, hey, what the hell is going on? Like, how do I solve this thing?
And I'm someone that likes templates. I love the hardest part of a lot of things is getting started, and so they have a lot of templates. They promote over like 4,000 templates, and it looks like they're crowdsourced. You can have free ones, you can have paid ones, but I think that's really interesting because those are real life examples that are people building these workflows with even agentic AI, and so you can you see other companies have templates, but they're prescribed by that company. So it's kind of interesting to see like the community providing those. We see that in no code solutions as well with like website templates and stuff. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And I was just looking around that, OpenAI references like over 800 that involve OpenAI. So I think that's a great way to get started if you're looking for a solution like this.
It also leans into, right? I feel like they are an open source project. I feel like, so I think it's leans into the same thing, that they are very big in the community.
Yes.
Which is I think this is like a great point for like any product. It's like you can see that they really care about the entire product is the community. So even if stuff breaks or doesn't work, they work on it, and I can say the same thing for Make, but you saw like it took Make a lot of time to create the agents, and it's not a sign that I like. I would also like to mention I recently saw a really interesting tool called Kadabra. I'm just testing it right now. It's very early, but what's really interesting, it's a combination of N8N and Lovable, where you say whatever you want, whatever automation you want to build, and then it goes and it talks to you, gets whatever you need, then it creates the automation. For example, if it doesn't have a specific integration, for example, we use a Voma for like recording conversation, and no tools have integration to a Voma, which is really annoying. But what it does is it goes to the API docs of this product, understand them, and then build the integration itself. And then it goes and it takes your real data, tests it on your real data, and then it's query. I think it's really cool. I really love the promise of like if it doesn't have an integration, it just builds it by itself by reading the docs. I really love it, and that it tests it automatically on your real data, which is also a game changer. Then fix the bugs and stuff like this.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's where that agentic AI comes into it. The agentic AI has a predefined mission, and then the next level is it goes off and does things autonomously. It says, okay, I need to go access the API docs, and then I'll build it for you while you go off and have coffee. That's that next level where I think agentic AI is getting to. It's still like I think most things are workflows, like you mentioned, Stav. I think that's end of the day still the biggest thing. But like agentic AI needs to get to the point of like, hey, I have a mission, I understand it, but I can also adapt as I learn more information. So
I think also the important thing with the agentic AI is to define it properly so it will actually do the work properly.
right.
And many times the way to do that is to break it down to smaller agents that work together. And the way to put smaller agents to work together is usually with some type of a workflow. So we still have to do some workflows in there and have some logic in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's great. You mentioned this might be, I mean, I'm thinking this might be my last question, but I might have more. But you mentioned something about the cost, and I want to understand that a bit more. Not so much the cost of using N8N, because I think you touched on that, but you said that using agentics is more expensive sometimes than using non-agentic workflows. So tell us a bit more, how does that cost come into play? So where do you look for the cost?
Yeah, I think I'll try to explain it because it's interesting, because I think N8N shows it. It doesn't show the actual, I don't know if it shows the actual cost, but it shows how the agent thinks behind the scene. And it's very visual when you understand that every line every step in the thinking process, it's an LLM, it's a query. So the way agent works is that again, we have the brain, we have tools, and we have memory. And what it does is that we have this one agent that decide, okay, this is my task and I need to do the next 5 things. And then it goes and it does the first task. It gets back the data or the feedback. It reads it. So okay, great, next thing, and it goes on and on and on and on. And every one of those steps, or like the feedback, this is an LLM. This is exactly like writing to ChatGPT. So, for example, I want you to imagine it just as like if a regular workflow is going, I go to ChatGPT, and like for example, I go to Google Sheets, I copy the data, I paste it in ChatGPT. I'm like, what is, I don't know, what's the sum of this thing? And it's one prompt, one answer, and I get the answer. When we're talking about AI agents, we have the first message is understanding like what is my task, and then like, okay, this is my task. What's the thing? And every step of it, this is another prompt with. And this is behind the scene. I'm not actually sure if but it doesn't take all of the data every prompt, but it takes a lot of it. And I think I used to saw it was a great comparison of when you should or shouldn't use an agent instead of a workflow, and those things are usually, I think the thumb rules are when the workflow it's like when the flow itself is not the same every run. If the data is not the same, if the output is not the same, this is one thing that like an agent does it better because it knows it can adapt to things. If your workflow needs to adapt frequently, that an agent writing, and if it's usually, you can say, I think I used to say, I don't know if with the cost, because the costs are always updating, but it was like if every run is worth more than $1 to you, you can use an agent. If it doesn't worth more than $1 every run, you shouldn't use an agent. Now the costs are always varying, and like, a new model comes out, it's 50% cheaper. I don't know, it's because it's always changes. But again, I think it's always a good thing to calculate, is like how much time did if I saved like 1 hour of my work right now, or like anyone in the company, like it's obvious. It's usually that. I think that's the difference between we're a business instead of like I'm an indie hacker. Like usually it's worth it. But again, if your workflow doesn't need to adapt very much, I wouldn't use an agent. I almost never use agent. It's because it's not you can build it consistently, but it's the output can't suddenly go like just like an LLM. It's a black box, and you can't really control it.
That's exactly what I had, in mind to ask you. Do you even know how many calls it will ask to the LLMs? Like, can you control that? Like this will always be 6 calls and this will always be 10 calls, or is there also some places where you won't even know how many calls it will have?
It's usually, I feel like it's the simpler the automation and the amount of tools, you would usually mean that's like you would see like more consistent like number of iteration. Right. But like right now, I'm using, for example, I'm trying to build, this is not a PM product, but I'm trying to build a really cool product that goes to like open a browser, and like the agent itself go and that does a few, like it goes through the entire product flow of our customer and prospects. And like I'm just, one of the things I'm dealing it right now is that I'm just hitting max iterations, because there's so many every single iteration is the page. Those are like 2 calls or something, so it's very costly. It is worth, for us, it's worth like more than $1, but it's very expensive. It's so many iterations. Maybe the next episode I will be able to tell you how I solved it.
Yeah, I would love that. That sounds like an interesting project.
This is a good example for, we're giving it different products. The entire workflow is completely dynamic. Like the agent, like I never know, like I can never dictate what will be even the goal of like the how long will be the product flow, what kind of a flow. It can be like a B2B product, it can be like with like contact to get like to get a quote. It can be a consumer product, you can need to download an app. There is like so many things that can happen, and this is an example that only an agent can make it. There's only do it with an agent.
Yeah. And how transparent is it for you about the cost? Like, do you know what the cost is after each run? Does it give you?
The way I would do it is that, just like tracking your weight loss every day, like the single day doesn't really matter. It's more about the weekly averages. I would go and I would build a product. In the testing, I would try to do it. But again, testing and production are almost never the same. So I would wait for production, and then I would wait a week, and I would try to see, like, I would use a dedicated key, because you decide which LLM you want to use. So I can use Gemini, I can use Claude, I can use ChatGPT, and I can give it a specific key. And then I would just see the cost like per week. Like I would see the average of the cost per week. Like, it's just a simple equation of like, how many runs you had this week with the cost. But I feel like this is the best way to understand like the true costs, the production costs of
So you really need to monitor it over time, because over time, as you said, because it's not predictable what it will do, there might be more data out there or less data out there, or things.
And I think that the thumb rule is just it's to constrain it as much as you can. Don't give it just the tools it needs. Don't give it too much. Or even if you use, by the way, you can also use sub agents. Like you have an agent that can call another agent. And then this agent can call another agent.
So you need to be careful about that. So
yes,
I
but
think at the end of the day, it's a bit of a balance there. And the only way to really know and what it is to try it. Like everything in product. You need to,
again, you can always in the test in the testing phase, you can always like try to, I'm hitting 10 different runs with that 10 different data sets, and I can try to understand what the cost will be. But then again, I need to be, when I'm building those things, I'm usually very open to just like testing it in production, see if it's working. And again, usually those things, I wouldn't build stuff that's like costing saving 10 minutes for one person, unless it's for myself. It's usually, whenever I feel like that's the good thing about when we're building it for ourselves, instead of like a family chore management. Like it's, if we save 1 hour of one person in the company, it's usually worth whatever it's running.
Yeah. No, maybe your next N8N flow is going to be to measure that and tell you which one to build and which one not to build. So
I run it into the Lovable one to create the product.
You can monitor your costs for you or something like that.
Amazing.
You
obviously love using N8N, and what's one thing like that you wish they would improve or wish would be better?
First of all, they're kind of an early product, so some of the integrations are like they're not connecting well. For example, I'm still using Make for anything that I need to connect to Salesforce, because it's just Salesforce a nightmare anywhere, anytime. But like I wasted at least four complete days of my life trying to connect to N8N and Lovable N8N and
ask them to pay back your time.
Yes. So this automation wasn't worth it. But again, I feel like integrations like they just need to improve integrations, all of the edge cases integrations, but also less and less. This is especially for the product manager, less and less like technical. Like I don't want. That's what I love about like the promise of Kadabra, is that it's, if I don't need to
ease of use.
I don't need to go and read the API docs of anything. I don't want it. Give me just give me. That's what I love about AI in general. Just I don't care. Just give me give me the good stuff. I don't care about whatever happens behind it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. But that's what I see. I tend to see in open source products, because open source products are built by developers.
Yes.
They think like developers. So I tend to see that they're more technical than none. But that's always like the balance.
Yeah, that's very interesting in N8N specifically, because N8N comes to this is specifically for a product for non-technical people, and they call themselves flow developer. I don't remember.
It's all relative. Listen, it's all relative. They're still developers, those that build it.
Yeah, still developer, exactly. That's very interesting.
Yeah, great. Yeah, do you have any other question, Matt?
No, I think that covers it. Very, very great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Learning.
Thank you very much.
I personally have not used it before, so it was great to learn about it. So I'll be looking more at it.
I have seen it a few times. I have not, I must admit, I've not built anything with it yet. But I'm always like, oh, I really should do something with it.
Right.
Try to do a hackathon in your company and see how many people are like using it. I feel like this was like the turning point for us. So just so many non-technical people. Like you always have a technical person in the group that helps you like set it up.
Right.
But like seeing like the spark in the eyes of the non-technical people, just like I build it.
Yeah.
This thing, and it have an AI agent. It's amazing to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Where can people reach out to you, Stav?
They can reach me out on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, my email, WhatsApp. They can find me anywhere. There is only one Stav Charkham in the world. There's only, so it's very easy to find me. There's only one.
There are two Moshe Mikanovskis in the world. The other one is my cousin, but he is not in product. So if you're looking for product, if you're looking for glasses, that's my cousin.
Really? Okay. I'm
And
But he's
there's
in
probably
Florida.
thousands of
So
Matt
he's in
Greens.
Florida. He's closer to you, Matt, actually.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, Stav, thank you so much for joining us today. Really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
asking, guys. It was great talking with you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you, Moshe. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you to all the listeners. We really appreciate the feedback and support. Please leave us a review to help others find the show on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else you're listening to the show.